Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Diana Phillips. I'm the Assistant Director of Professional Training Materials at Read Naturally, and I really appreciate all of you joining me today. I know you have very busy schedules, and I hope you enjoy the information I'll be sharing with you. Today, we're talking about Gate Plus, which is Read Naturally's direct instruction phonics program for beginning readers. During the presentation, I'll be reviewing an overview of Gate Plus. I'll talk about planning and scheduling the program. I'll also talk about the research behind the program. I'll go over what materials are included with your purchase and how you can use them with your students. And I'll also talk about the instructional activities and assessments that are built right into the program for you. So let's get started. Let's start with the overview. GATE is an acronym for Group and Tutoring Addition. The GATE Plus curriculum is implemented through teacher-directed instruction in small groups or for an entire class of beginning readers. Through a combination of activities, GATE Plus explicitly teaches phonemic awareness and phonics and word recognition skills. It also helps improve students' fluency, and it supports comprehension and vocabulary to accelerate the reading achievement of beginning and struggling readers. First, students are going to develop their phonological awareness skills in GATE Plus by several activities where they listen for specific sounds and syllables in words, they practice segmenting and blending words, and they learn how to blend sounds and syllables to make words. Students also develop phonics skills by strengthening their proficiency with letter sounds and letter combinations, and by learning to decode 1- and 2-syllable words. In addition, students develop fluency using Read Naturally's research-proven strategy. Students are also going to learn to read and spell regular and irregular high-frequency words with automaticity, as well as learning to spell short words with the lesson's featured phonics pattern. Students are going to expand their vocabulary as they read nonfiction stories. GATE Plus also includes multiple components that support reading comprehension, with activities like making predictions, answering questions, and writing sentences about what students remember from the stories. GATE Plus was developed to support beginning readers or older struggling readers. GATE Plus is designed to be presented through direct instruction to intervention groups of up to 6 students with similar skills, or with a classroom of beginning readers for grades K through 1. GATE Plus can also be used as a precursor to the Read Naturally Live or Encore program. And those two programs are where students work more independently than they do in GATE Plus. Remember, GATE Plus is separate from Read Live, and it is not included in the Read Live license. It needs to be purchased separately, and you can do that on our readnaturally.com website. GATE Plus lessons we recommend should be scheduled daily. One full lesson usually takes about 4 30-minute reading periods or 5 20-minute reading periods. The first few lessons, remember, they might take a little bit longer because your students are going to need time to learn those behaviors that they need to be able to do in the lessons. The lessons are set up so that you and your students can complete as many parts of the lesson during a single reading period as possible. Then you can continue the lesson during subsequent reading periods until the lesson is complete. Remember, you can start a new lesson right after you finish the previous lesson if there's time left in your reading period. GATE Plus can be used in a variety of different settings. For example, your regular classroom with your whole group of students. It's also appropriate for a resource setting for intervention with Tier 2 or Tier 3 students. It could also be used in a before or after school program or in a tutoring setting. And if you're already planning for summer school, GATE Plus is perfect for your summer school instruction. Let's talk for a minute about the different levels of a Gate Plus and how they're different and similar. Gate Plus is available in 3 levels, and each level has 24 lessons. Level 0.8 is early to mid first grade level skills, and it focuses mostly on short vowels. Level 1.3 is mid first grade skills and focuses on long vowels. And then level 1.8 is late first grade to early second grade skills. It focuses more on blends and digraphs, inflected endings, and two-syllable words. Regular and irregular high frequency words are emphasized in each lesson at every level. You can use this table to select the appropriate level of Gate Plus for your students. Level 0.8, your students should know the letters of the alphabet. They should have some knowledge of the letter sounds, and they should be able to recognize at least 15 to 20 written words. Remember, this is a focus on short vowel words. In Gate Plus, we provide scaffolding for the students through teacher modeling and repeated reading activities. And that enables our students to be successful when they're reading connected text. Students who read at an early to mid first grade level can work in Gate Plus level 1.3 and with a focus on long vowel words. Students who read at a mid to late first grade level can work in Gate Plus level 1.8 with a focus on blends, digraphs, inflected endings, and two-syllable words. Becoming familiar with the text difficulty of the Gate Plus stories and the skills in each lesson will help you select the appropriate level for your students. The stories within each level have similar text complexity. Read Naturally uses Lexile measures and Space and Fry readability formulas to determine the level of each story. At each successive level, the stories will become longer and more complex. Be sure to group your students with similar needs together. Here's a broad scope and sequence table that shows all the skills taught in Gate Plus. And there's a full page of this chart on page 6 of your handout. Let's zoom in for a closer look. You can see here the different skill areas the program covers. And depending on the level, the skills may be taught, reviewed, and/or applied. Notice across the top, you can see taught, reviewed, applied for each of the levels, 0.8, 1.3, and 1.8. And then down the side, you can see the different phonics skills that are addressed in each level. Notice that spelling, high frequency words, fluency, comprehension, and vocabulary are all addressed in each lesson at all levels. Now, let's take a look at the research behind Gate Plus. Gate Plus incorporates Read Naturally's research-proven strategy. We know that the combination of teacher modeling, repeated reading, and progress monitoring can help our students improve their reading. And these strategies are good instructional strategies that have many different applications in the classroom. Teacher modeling occurs as the student actively reads along and imitates the teacher's phrasing and intonation. Teacher modeling also teaches word recognition. Repeated reading is a form of mastery learning. This is when our students repeatedly read the same words in context over and over till they begin to know them and can identify them in subsequent text. Then there's progress monitoring. This is the motivational tool that shows our students how they're making progress. They're going to be practicing 1-minute timed readings of the same story multiple times on their own, and they'll see their improvement as they progress through the stories. If you're interested in more research behind Read Naturally and its programs, the Foundational Reading Skills White Paper outlines the importance of implementing instruction in 4 key areas in reading. Those areas are print concepts, phonological awareness, phonics and word recognition, and fluency. The paper also explains how programs like Gate Plus can support teachers as they work with beginning and developing readers. We're going to go ahead and put a link to this white paper in the chat for you so that you can look at it later on. Now, let's take a look at the materials needed to teach Gate Plus. To set up the Gate Plus program, you'll need to prepare your materials and select a setting. Let's talk about the materials first. Remember, this is a scripted program, so you'll be receiving a flip book with the teacher's script on one side and the student-facing materials on the other. Gate Plus also comes with a USB drive that contains PowerPoint slides and additional materials. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So here's an unboxing video to show you everything that comes with Gate Plus.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Read Naturally Warehouse. We are really excited today because our first batch of Gate Plus has arrived from the printer. So we just wanted to do a quick walkthrough video for y'all so you can see what's included in your Gate Plus order. We have 3 levels available for Gate Plus, targeting short vowels, long vowels, and blends and digraphs. Each level also includes lessons for learning how to read and spell irregular high-frequency words. Today we're just going to be walking through our point 8 materials as an example, but know that all 3 levels are structured the same way and include the same resources, which are the lesson flipbook, the teacher's manual, and a USB drive in the spiral binding. Let's take this over to my office and I'll show you everything you need to get Gate Plus set up in your classroom. First up, we have our teacher's manual. This has all the program information and instructions that you'll need, and it also includes a lesson sample with a description, rationale, script, and even specific suggestions for each activity. There's also a digital file of this available on your handy-dandy USB drive if you do prefer to access it on your computer. There are also a lot of other important resources on this USB drive, but we'll come back to those in just a minute. Up next, we have the star of the show, our lesson flipbook. So your lesson flipbook props up on the table, super easy, like this, and it is ready to use right out of the box. For those of you who may remember Gate, you'll notice that Gate Plus has a new fresh look and name to reflect the significant enhancements we've made with this new version. When you open it up, you've got your table of contents, and then you'll notice 2 types of pages. On this side of the lesson flipbook, you've got your student display pages, which you'll just face toward your students if you're working in a small group. The other side is for you, and it's got your complete teacher script, all color-coded and super easy to follow. So again, if you're working in that small group, you've got your students around you or in front of you, and they can just follow along easily as you flip through the lesson. Now, I'll elaborate on this in just a second, but if you are working with a larger group or perhaps a whole class, these student-facing pages are available on a slideshow presentation, in which case you would project these pages on a larger screen to your whole group, but you would still read from your teacher's script in the lesson flipbook. Let's circle back now to this small but significant component of your Gate Plus toolkit, your USB drive. You'll want to plug this into your computer to get all your files downloaded right away because there are so many useful resources on here. When you open the file, you'll see all these different lesson folders, which make it super easy to find the materials you need to go along with whatever lesson you're working in on a particular day. Right away, I want you to notice the README file at the top. This is a great place to start to familiarize yourself with everything you'll find on the drive. Under the README file, you'll see this folder called Additional Materials. This is where you'll find a number of incredibly helpful resources, including additional student activities like bonus word lists, crossword puzzles, and graphic organizers. There's also a comprehension builder with several lesson plans and useful tabs. Plus, there's a great reader award certificate, a high-frequency word assessment, a parent letter, progress monitoring tools, a pronunciation guide, your digital teacher's manual, and so much more. A lot of these resources are really great for differentiating and tailoring the instruction to the individual needs of each of your students. They're also great for working in some additional student accountability and progress monitoring, so please do check these out as you're getting ready to teach. Coming back out now to the main folder is again where you'll find your resources for each particular lesson. Within each lesson folder, you'll find a few things, but most importantly, the student booklets that correspond with each lesson. These should be printed front and back before each lesson, so you can fold them into these nice little booklets for each student to use throughout the lesson. You'll notice we've got sound boxes, word lists, decodable sentences, spell out and sound out practice, connected nonfiction text, and comprehension questions, all packed into one powerful little booklet. These are fantastic to send home with your students or to pull out at parent-teacher conferences to show your students' parents some of their work and also to highlight that explicit systematic literacy instruction that you're working on in class. In this folder, we also have that slideshow I mentioned in case you're working with a larger group or a whole classroom. In this case, you'd still be using the teacher script from your lesson flipbook for yourself, but this way you'd be able to display these student pages on a larger screen. Now, the slides are almost exactly the same as the student-facing pages from your lesson flipbook, but there are a few additional slides which are noted for you in your teacher script, so there's no guessing on your end about when to transition to the next slide. Clearly, I could go on and on all day about this program, but I really don't want to keep you because if we know one thing about teachers, it's that you are busy. So if you have any questions about getting started with Gate Plus, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can leave a comment on this video, send us an email, or give us a call. Our customer service team is phenomenal and a real person will pick up the phone ready to help you however they can.
Thank you so much, Maddie. She really covered the vast majority of what you need to know about taking Gate Plus out and using it successfully with your students. Here's an example of that student booklet that she was talking about. Remember, you can print it so it's double-sided and then fold it in half for each one of your students to have practice with those phonemic awareness activities with the sound boxes and also the word list activity. Here's an example of the student's story record sheet. They'll also have a record sheet for the word lists. And these are really helpful because they help your students see their progress. They love seeing that progress. And it's also great documentation for you when you're meeting with parents or other teachers. In addition to the materials included with the program, there are a couple of other things that it's nice to have when you're working with Gate Plus. You'll need a timer of some sort to time your students as they're reading each story. And remember, you only need one per group because the teacher will control the timer in Gate Plus. You also need red and blue pencils or crayons so that your students can mark their graphs with their cold timing score and their hot timing score. Folders are also really helpful to have for Gate Plus, so your students can help keep track of their materials, their booklets, and their crossword puzzles and their recording sheets. The USB drive, as Maddie said, has a lot of additional support materials like crossword puzzles and word lists. These will help your students become much more confident with the vocabulary in the stories in Gate Plus. As she said, there are going to be certificates and parent letters that you can send home, as well as comprehension activities to help develop your students' comprehension skills. Now let's get into specifics on the instructional activities and assessments included in Gate Plus. There are a lot of different activities for your students to go through to improve their reading skills. This first group of activities is all about phonemic awareness. The first one, learn and listen for vowel sounds in words, promotes phonemic awareness because it encourages students to recognize the featured sound or sounds in each word. In levels 0.8 and 1.3, students are going to be listening for vowel sounds. Then in level 1.8, they'll listen for blends and digraphs, inflected endings, and compound and two-syllable words. The phonemic awareness is developed as the teacher tells the students the sound of the featured letter and asks their students to repeat the sound. Then the teacher says a word containing that sound, and the students listen and decide if the word has the featured sound in it. The next activity also supports phonemic awareness, particularly the ability to recognize words made by sounds or word parts blended together. The teacher is going to blend sounds or words together slowly to make a word while the students carefully listen to determine what word the teacher said. Then they'll say the word in unison. The segmenting activity is kind of the opposite of blending, where the teacher says a word and the students will mark the number of sounds they heard in the word in their sound boxes in that student booklet. Next, students will work on improving their phonics skills by direct instruction of the sounds of letters. The teacher will point to each letter or letter combination and tell the student the name and sound of each letter. Then the students will repeat that sound together, and they do this with teacher support at first by repeating the sound of the letter or letter combination after the teacher models them. Eventually, your students will say the sound of each letter or letter combination without that teacher modeling. Next, students continue to develop phonics and word recognition skills. They learn to decode phonetically regular words containing the featured sounds. We call these sound out words because they're decodable. Sound out words are going to be found at the top of the flipbook page, and they'll be in black type. Some of these words will also be high frequency words. Next, students are taught a strategy for learning phonetically irregular high frequency words. They'll be taught first the regular parts of the word that they can sound out, and then the irregular parts that they need to learn by heart. Those are called spell out words because students can't completely decode them by sounding them out. The read words down and across activity has students practicing lists of words with the featured phonics pattern in the lesson. They'll start by reading down the columns and then across the rows. This allows students to build automaticity in decoding the words. The students, remember, have a copy of that word list in their student workbook as well, so they can take it home and practice it if they need to. All right, we're going to take a second and review how the previous activities support students' reading development. Remember the components of reading instruction that GATE Plus incorporates. Some of them are listed here. We have phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, and comprehension. Here's your first question. Listen for vowel sounds in words and blend sounds into words support which component of reading instruction? If you said phonemic awareness, you're right. Let's try another one. Practice letter sounds, decode sound out words, and read spell out words support which component of reading instruction? If you said phonics, you are correct. Let's take a look at some more of the instructional activities included in GATE Plus. Read decodable sentences. This is when students read decodable sentences made up of the words and sounds they learned in the current and previous lessons. In this step, students are practicing reading connected text with the featured phonics patterns. High frequency or spell out words are in red type in the sentences. Next, in the spelling step, students will write spell out and sound out words from the story as the teacher dictates the words. This step develops phonemic awareness. It also gives students practice writing short words with the featured phonics patterns and high frequency words. And it also improves spelling or encoding skills. Remember, the stories in GATE Plus are all authentic text. For the story, students first work on developing comprehension skills by writing a prediction about the story based on the key words, which are here in this box, and the picture that comes along with the story. This is a pre-reading activity. It prepares the students to read the story, and it reminds them that they're reading for information. The teacher and the students can decide on a prediction together using the picture, the title, and the key words to help them. Then the teacher writes the prediction sentence on a surface the students can see, like a whiteboard or chart paper. When students are ready to write their own predictions, we've included a graphic organizer in the digital downloads. Next, students work on improving their fluency skills. Before they read the story along with the teacher or practice on their own, they do a cold reading of the story for 1 minute. Each student will read individually aloud quietly as the teacher times the group. The students aren't reading in unison here. And while the students are reading, the teacher will listen to one student read while the other ones read orally to themselves. And we encourage our students to underline words they don't know. This cold reading sets the baseline for measuring improvement. Students will record and graph their individual cold timing scores in blue on their fluency graphs. With that visual representation of their scores for each story, they're able to see their progress. Next, students will continue working on fluency as they complete the read-along step with the teacher. This is that teacher modeling step. Teacher modeling supports students so they can learn new words, confirm difficult words, and master sight words. When the teacher reads aloud, they're modeling appropriate phrasing and expression for their students. The teacher and the students are going to read the story together aloud from the student-facing pages in the flipbook or the PowerPoint. The teacher should read slowly enough so that the students can actually read along, pointing to each word and pausing to decode unfamiliar words with the students. During the second read-along, students will read aloud from their own booklets as they point and listen to each word. The teacher always reads along with the students during this step in a gradual release of responsibility. Students continue reading along as many times as the teacher feels is necessary, and most teachers will do this step at least 3 times. Next, students will continue working to improve their fluency. The teacher times the group of students for 1 minute. She listens to one student read out loud while the others quietly read aloud independently. She'll continue timing the students in this way, each time listening to a different student. And this will go on for 4 to 6 timings. After the final timing, students will mark their graphs in red to record their final timing scores. Again, this is the student's opportunity to monitor their progress. Now, students will answer questions about the story. This activity encourages the students to remember what they've read and reminds them that they're reading for meaning. We're also continuing to support phonics development by giving students an opportunity to write words with the featured phonics patterns. This activity assesses student comprehension of the story and can be done independently or as a group. We also have an optional step in each lesson, which is called write a sentence about the story. And you can see that at the bottom of this example. This is when students will continue to develop comprehension by writing a sentence about something they remember from the story. In the beginning, this activity could be done as a group, but as your students become more competent, they'll also be more independent on this step. Remember, this step is optional because it requires more time than you might have for these lessons, especially if you have students that are taking a long time to pass the story. All right, we're going to switch it up a little bit for this review. I'm going to give you the answer this time, and I want you to tell me the question, like in Jeopardy. The answer is, this GATE Plus activity supports student comprehension. It's a pre-reading activity that prepares the students to read the story. What is make a prediction? Let's try another one. The read word list and spelling steps support which component of reading instruction? Is it phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, or comprehension? If you said phonics, you're right. Let's try another one. I'll give you the answer and you give me the question. The answer is, these GATE Plus activities support fluency development. Together, they incorporate Read Naturally's research-proven strategy: teacher modeling, repeated reading, and progress monitoring. What are cold timing, read along with the teacher, and practice and pass the story? Here's another multiple choice question. Answer the questions supports which component of reading instruction? If you said comprehension, you are correct. Remember, when you're using GATE Plus to support beginning reading development for students, including students in an RTI or MTSS model, you need to conduct periodic diagnostic phonics assessments or phonics skills checklists. For example, the Quick Phonics Screener, or QPS, is a diagnostic phonics assessment that can be used to help confirm that students working in GATE Plus are mastering phonics skills as they move through the program. The information you gather from using the QPS will help you decide if you need to make adjustments to your students' instruction. And it will also help you decide when a student no longer needs the support of GATE Plus or may be ready to move on to Read Naturally Live. Suggestions for adjusting GATE Plus instruction can also be found in the teacher's manual. The teacher administers the GATE Plus progress checks after each set of 3 to 5 lessons to confirm mastery of the letters and sounds taught. Each student is going to record their results on the progress checks on a record sheet. The teacher directions and assessments are found on the USB drive that's included in the GATE Plus package. The GATE Plus high frequency word assessment is a cumulative assessment that you can use to assess your students' progress in mastering high frequency words that are explicitly taught in each level of the program. This assessment is also on the USB drive. This video, remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words, shows one of our master teachers, Michelle Brenner, working with students in GATE Plus.
GATE Plus makes it really easy for teachers to teach phonics to their students. My name is Michelle Brenner, and I have over 30 years of teaching elementary school, and I spent the last 20 years specifically working as a reading interventionist with students who needed additional support to become better readers. We know the science of reading is all about good instructional practices based on scientific evidence of what works with students. These practices are built into each lesson of GATE Plus, so students can master phonics both effectively and efficiently. All of the lessons in GATE Plus are scripted with easy-to-follow instructional routines, which is perfect for teachers who need to teach phonics but don't quite know the best way to go about it. Every activity in GATE Plus incorporates effective instructional practices, things such as segmenting and blending to build phonemic awareness, explicit and systematic instruction in phonics decoding and encoding, connected text reading and decodable sentences, practice reading stories, teacher modeling, repeated reading and progress monitoring to build fluency, building background knowledge with a variety of high-interest nonfiction stories, increasing students' vocabulary through the use of keywords and definitions, and improving comprehension with activities such as making predictions and answering a variety of comprehension questions. The GATE Plus program makes it so easy for teachers to differentiate instruction to meet their students' needs. Progress checks and student record sheets motivate students and allow teachers to measure progress. GATE Plus can be used as a small group instructional activity or with larger groups of students who have similar phonics needs. A flipbook with student-facing lessons and a teacher-facing script, as well as an optional PowerPoint presentation for each lesson, makes it easy to customize this program for small or large groups. GATE Plus was developed by reading teachers, and scientific research is central to every aspect of the program. Teachers are going to love GATE Plus because it makes teaching phonics so easy, and the results are fantastic.
Thanks so much, Michelle. I hope you learned something today. I hope you got some exciting information about Gate Plus and how it can help your students. So we've talked about an overview. We've looked at the research behind Gate Plus. We've talked about the materials that are included and the instructional activities that are built into the program. If you have any questions, please reach out to our wonderful customer service team. Their email is there. You can also go to our website. And if you call that phone number, a person will actually answer the phone and talk to you. So please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.